Welcome to the channel, guys. This is Lord Zone, and today I'm going to be breaking down who I believe to be the most overrated king in the history of Westeros, Aegon V Targaryen. When most people rank the kings of Westeros, Aegon V is usually pretty high up on their lists. They think of him as a humble man who strove to bring the Seven Kingdoms together, but in fact his reign is not worthy of such high praise. What makes a good king is someone who's able to maintain stability in the realm by preventing bloodshed until necessary, and by making sure the nobles and small folk are at peace with his decrees and judgments. A king must also maintain power within his family, by strengthening his line and helping to ensure the royal power stays within the family for as long as possible. Aegon V ascended to the Iron Throne in 233 AC, after his father Maekar I died. His two oldest brothers, Daeron the Drunken and Aerion Brightflame, had died before their father, and his other older brother Aemon refused the throne and became the Maester of the Night's Watch instead. This is the same Maester Aemon that we meet in the show. Aegon's first act as king was to arrest his great-uncle, Brynden Rivers, also called Bloodraven, and send him to the Wall. This was because Bloodraven had told Aenys Blackfyre that he could come to Westeros safely and make his claim at the Great Council to become king. However, he went back on his word and killed the Blackfyre pretender right when he arrived. This may seem like a noble act by Aegon, but in actuality it was not a smart move. Bloodraven was one of the most effective politicians in the history of Westeros, and always showed fierce loyalty to the Targaryens, especially when it came to fighting their Cadet branch House Blackfyre, who had been trying to usurp the throne from the Targaryens for years. Bloodraven had a vast spy network, and used sorcery and magic in any way he could to help preserve the power of the Targaryen dynasty. During the reign of King Aerys I, Bloodraven essentially ran the kingdoms for him. Clearly, Bloodraven was a very important tool to have on your side, so making him join the Night's Watch was not a smart political move by Aegon. Aegon's next flaw was his rocky relationship with the nobility. Going on many adventures in his youth with Sir Duncan the Tall made Aegon more sympathetic for the small folk than any past rulers, because Sir Duncan was from the poor slums of Flea Bottom. Aegon gave the small folk more rights and privileges than they had before, which angered the nobles because it took some power away from them. Having the small folk on your side is very important. Just research the French Revolution if you don't believe me. However, having the nobles on your side is even more important. There are ways to please the small folk and the nobility instead of just pleasing one and angering the other. Although this makes Aegon one of the best kings morally, it does not make him one of the best kings when it comes to political effectiveness. One of Aegon's better ideas was to stop the Targaryen tradition of inbreeding that was done to keep their Valyrian blood pure. Marriages are the best way to make alliances, and by marrying his family to members of other houses, it strengthens House Targaryen's hold on Westeros. Aegon married Betha Blackwood, and they betrothed their children to members of other powerful families. Prince Duncan, the heir to the throne, was to marry the daughter of Lord Lionel Baratheon. Prince Jaehaerys was to marry Lady Celia Tully. Prince Daeron was to marry Lady Olenna Redwine, and Princess Shaira was to marry Luther Tyrell, the heir to Highgarden. However, this presents Aegon's next flaw as king, which is that he wasn't able to control his children. His firstborn son and heir, Prince Duncan Targaryen, fell in love with a peasant girl called Jenny of Oldstones. Duncan was then forced to choose between marrying Jenny or the Iron Throne. He chose to marry the woman he was in love with, removing him from the line of succession and weakening House Targaryen's relationship with House Baratheon, one of the great houses of the realm. Prince Jaehaerys, who became heir to the throne after his older brother gave up his inheritance, and Princess Shaira also rebelled against their betrothals. The brother and sister had been in love since a young age, and got married in secret, weakening House Targaryen's relationship with Houses Tyrell and Tully, two more of the great houses. Prince Daeron broke his betrothal to Olenna Redwine, as he was gay, and was in a relationship with Sir Jeremy Norridge. This weakened House Targaryen's relationship with House Redwine, who have the largest fleet in Westeros. However, the dark shadow that looms over Aegon V's reign is the tragedy of Summerhall. Aegon believed that if the dragon eggs were hatched and dragons were brought back to Westeros, the lords would accept his decrees that favored the small folk. Aegon had searched past texts for information on how to hatch dragon eggs. In 259 AC, Aegon brought those closest to him to Summerhall to celebrate the birth of his first great-grandchild, who would end up becoming Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. Summerhall was a castle in the Dornish marshes in the Stormlands, occupied by House Targaryen. While at Summerhall, a fire broke out that was caused by Aegon's attempts at hatching the dragons. The fire killed Prince Duncan Targaryen, Aegon's firstborn son, Sir Duncan the Tall, Aegon's childhood companion and Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, and King Aegon himself. In my opinion, this tragedy puts the final nail in the coffin for Aegon V as being the most overrated king in the history of Westeros. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is the first video on my channel of hopefully many more. So I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.